So welcome once again to Thursday We Met at 4. And before we dive in, I would like to actually get to know those that are in the chat, those that are in this meeting with us. So please use the chat box, tell us your name, where you're tuned in from, what you want to gain today. You already hear from Samuel what he does, and then what exactly it is that you think you'll be getting from this section today. It could also be that it's your first time coming across this kind of conversation. You just got the link from somebody. You're still very much welcome. Just kindly go ahead and drop your name and where you're tuning in from, what you do, and then what you want to learn or what you hope to get out of this section today in the chat box. So, anyways, what we'll be covering today before I pass the mic fully on to Samuel is are these things that you can see on the screen here. What makes Q4 projects difficult most of the time? And why is it even important for us to consider early planning when we talk about projects? As a certified project manager, I always tell people that we often assume that maybe you should just do this event. It's not that big of a deal. It's just that award. It's not that serious. Maybe like 5 days to the event, I'm going to look for a vendor that will do the award for us. But guess what? It's a lot more than that, right? And that's what we want to talk about today. So you're going to be learning what a realistic production timeline would often look like, what to even prepare before you start engaging a vendor, a partner, or considering hiring anybody to come and help you with your merge or delivery of any projects that you're doing, and how to avoid last minute mistake, especially the common ones that are unnecessary, and also a practical readiness framework, something that we created here at Metaphor to give you an overview of what exactly to use to gauge if you're ready or if you're fully equipped to kickstart any project, either event, full scale, small scale, medium scale, large scale, whatever it is. I always say you should have a structure to how you implement every single thing you do. I'm still looking at the chat, right? I can't say anybody's name there. So please, we would like to know those that are here today. I can see we already have 12 people here, including me and Sam. So please just go ahead and tell us where you're tuning from, what you want to learn, and what you do basically. And why we do this is also to just get to know the people that are here and how to center the conversation in a way that benefits you at the end of the day. So Samuel, once again, thank you very much for joining us. So I would like to pass the mic over to you with this question. Over the last few years that you've been working in production for different brands and also helping people bring an actualized project, especially when it comes to events, awards, all of these things. What do you think is one of the key things that you've seen over time with companies that eventually always fail with delivering successful projects rather?
Thank you very much for that question, Kishi. So there is one thing that is a commonality amongst all the companies that, and I don't want to um, paint my answer and then use it as a way to blame people for failures of their projects. No, no, no.
Mhm.
It's just that many people are not familiar with the amount of work that goes into making products. But the commonality is that they always bring in their orders very, very late. So let's say you have an event that is supposed to take place the next weekend, and then
Mhm.
you come in on the Friday before. So now you only have 1 week, and then you probably need like 500 souvenirs. And these souvenirs are custom souvenirs, not jotters that you can just print on or
Yeah.
pens, or it's custom souvenirs. So those very, very short timelines are usually what is to cause a lot of issues for production or project orders like that.
Mm. That makes sense. Thank you very much for sharing that. Also, do you think it's often because they lack awareness of what exactly it is that is required before they kickstart their project, or do you think it's just anyhowness or lack of proper engagement with the right partner or vendor? What do you think is often causing this gap that you see?
All right, so now I don't think it's anyhowness. I think it is
Mm,
that people are already used to purchasing regular souvenirs. I mean, so you know that USP and metaphor is that you are getting souvenirs that you really can't get anywhere. Custom built that
mm-hmm,
carry your brand identity down to color, material, feel, etc. etc. So when you are creating any souvenir with that level of integration, and then you come in with the mentality that you have when you make orders for things like
Mhm.
souvenirs, etc., etc. Those philosophies start to clash with each other. You can
Yeah.
order um for books, jotters for your wedding, for instance. Let's say on a Monday, and then you need like 500, and they will give everything to you on Thursday. Those ones are very, very easy. They already
Yeah.
have the books that all just need to just print. That's very, very different from when you have to manufacture actual products that are supposed to stand, be held. All of those things they do take quite a bit of time.
Fine. Yes. Yes. That makes sense. I agree with you. So one of the key things that I could pick up from what you said is the fact that the difference in the kind of project or the kind of match or the kind of um and what you're trying to create will also determine the kind of readiness and entire process you go into. So I would like to pass on the mic to you, but before I do that, just again for people that are listening to us, I would like to just let hear from you before we start proper, and before I give the mic fully to Samuel to continue to take us through what exactly it is to require that we need to plan successful Q4 projects. How ready do you think your organization is for Q4? And when I say how ready, I mean, do you even know what exactly it is that you need to actually begin to plan for? One, do you even know what exactly is required of you to actually actualize those projects? Or you're just getting started, you don't even have an idea of what exactly it is that you have in line, or you're still trying to figure out, okay, what are we going to do for Q4 for our customers, for our HNIs, for our employees, or whatever it is like that. So you could see there's different categories here. You should be able to know whatever category it is that you belong to. Just go ahead and tell us in the chat whatever category you belong to. And then, we would continue to use that to gauge whatever it is that we'll be saying to you as we continue on this conversation. So, Samuel, I'd like to pass the mic over to you back now. So take us through the entire thing that we've prepared for our people here. Starting from what exactly it is that we've been talking about planning and the essence of planning and why it's important, the different reason people need to even plan, and what exactly it is that they would typically even need to consider for their events, for their, companies, brand, and all of these things in Q4 and all of that. So over to you, Samuel. Sorry,
All
Samuel,
right.
still here. Can you hear me?
Thank you very much. Yes, yes,
You're
yes.
welcome.
Sorry, had a break. So I would like to share my screen.
Oh, my screen is
Um,
on. Can you see my screen? My own screen is on. You should be able to see my screen.
okay, 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 okay. Fantastic. Thank you
Can you
very
see my
much.
screen?
So, yes, I can.
Okay.
All right. So today's topic is actually very simple. It's just one layer, planning before the rush. Um, thank Thankful to those insightful questions that you've asked in the beginning. I was able to establish the fact that there is a fundamental difference between the type of projects that we do here in Metaphor, and that the commonality between the others that to fail, so to speak, is that they are always coming at very, very tight deadlines.
Yeah.
So, today we're going to be discussing some very, very basic key points. What makes Q4 projects difficult? Why early planning gives your team more control? That is your team as the person that is making orders. What a realistic production timeline looks like. What to prepare for before engaging a manufacturing partner like Metaphor Solutions. How to avoid common last minute mistakes, etc., etc., etc. So let's dive right in. The first thing that you need to do before uh what's it called before you even think that you want to order for custom souvenirs is that you should first ask yourself, how ready is our organization for Q4? Because we've noticed that for the most part, some people come to Metaphor Solutions, like they've seen our adverts, etc, etc. They like what they are seeing, but now they are having a hard time picturing how this can apply to their own business or to their own brand. So first of
Mm-hmm.
all, you should be able to um, ask yourself, if you have a brief, have you already set out a budget? Do you already have a timeline? for when this product are supposed to be ready? Do you even know what you want to give? Are you giving this to your staff? Are you giving this to HNIs, etc.? So when you already know that you're getting there, is when you already know that okay, we know what we want, but some decisions are still pending, etc. So now let's move on to the next slide where we discuss how the rush doesn't actually start in Q4. So um, you might think, let's say, as someone that's already used to ordering products like the ones that I mentioned earlier, t-shirts, mugs, etc., that it is when the festivities have come around that people are not making their orders, they're just making their
Mhm.
orders then. But for products like us, for instance, that is not the case.
Yeah.
Say, an example that I have is when we did this product for Huawei, and I wanted to give this product out for Huawei Day. They had already made their orders months ahead,
Hmm.
then we were able to discuss all the requirements for the product, how it's supposed to look like, what they want. They want wireless chargers, they want lamps, they want it to look like this. They want this particular one to look like this because they want to give it to HNIs. They want
Mhm.
this one to have this particular functionality so that they can give it to their staff, and then their staff will be able to feel, oh, our company loves us,
Mhm.
and so on and so forth like that. You might think that when you see those products in real life, that Huawei probably just came to come and meet this company last week and then they got, but that is not the case. They had already come and meet the manufacturing partner, which is Metaphor Solutions, months ahead. So, like I said, the rush doesn't start in Q4. There are a lot of year-end activities that you can plan for in Q4, even before Q4 starts, such as year-end awards, employee recognition, appreciations for your customers, corporate gifting, and so on and so forth. So, um, let's move on to the next slide. Right. So, when people talk about planning, it's not about avoiding stress. It's about having options. Because even when you plan, this stress is still going to be there. Because planning essentially involves thinking, and thinking is hard work. But barring that hard work, you still have options, which is the comfort that you seek when you
Mhm.
plan for Q4. And so, what early planning helps you to do is that now you have more design options, and like I said, that thinking that is an essential part of planning. You're able to talk with our design team, go
Mhm.
over all the options that you can have on your product. You can say, oh, I want my product to be matte. Oh, I want this specific lighting to be here so that when I turn the product on, this particular light turns on, it tells the clients that, oh, this thing is already working, or it makes a welcome sound. It's things like that. If it was that somebody brings an order 1 week to when they want to deliver, and then you have integrations like the one I just mentioned, electronics, your room for changes is already severely limited. Because what happens then is that once the engineering team in your manufacturing partners company has already committed to using a particular part for this product, and
Mhm.
then your own team or your own side now decides that, you know what, we don't want to use the game. You come and then you try to change, you cause a whole lot of issues that's going to scatter your timeline, it's going to scatter your initial requirements, just going to have ugly, ugly backfalls that you do not want. And so another thing that early planning does for you is that you have more material choices. Like I said initially, time for revision. Now you can make changes comfortably when you plan early without disrupting a lot of key aspects of your project. You're
Yeah.
able to plan production better. You're able to check all that you have produced better to ensure that out of 500 products that you make, there isn't one defective product that you give to one key client and then the client is now offended that, what? Why would you give me this particular thing? You did not check this thing before you gave it to me. Nobody wants that. And that's the type of thing that you can avoid when you plan early. Let's go on to the next item. So, this is like an overview of all the things that goes into making a product for whatever reason that you might need. First thing is you need to do is first define the objective. Like I said, there are different things that you might need products for. Might be that you want to recognize your best performing employees, or you want to gift your uh I'm trying to think of something that is not controversial.
Major
Let's just say
customers,
major customers. Yes, I was about to say something else that will cause problems, but
distributors.
thank you very much for that sake. It's so you first define your objective and then you now build a brief, conceptualize and design, prototype, production, quality check and delivery. Now I want to highlight some very, very key aspects of this process because defining your objective doesn't really take a lot of time. Building your brief doesn't take a lot of time. Concept and design, from that third item downwards is where you start to have not issues per se, but items that you need to pay particular attention to so that nothing goes AWOL,
So,
and which will now take us back to what we've always been discussing in this particular webinar, that planning is important. From concept and design is where you as the client and us as the manufacturing partner will be having to discuss, sit down that, okay, I want this thing to look like this. I want to give it to HNIs. They need to feel valued. This person is somebody that already has thousands and thousands of gifts that at this particular point in time, gifts don't excite him anymore. But we want to give him something that wants to see this, be like, ah, wow, this person really puts thoughts into this gift that they're giving me. It's at that concept and design stage that all of those details are thrashed out. And so once we already have a design, we now have to prototype it to make sure that these things that have already been designed, all that is intended by the clients is actually uh, able to come into real life. This from the prototype they were able to check for anything that will cause issues for mass production down the line. That okay, oh, this particular one we might not be able to do it like this. Let's change it to this so that we are able to make these things faster, or we're able to make this thing look better, or we're able to make this thing work better. All of those is closed out of the prototype stage. And for 99.9 cases out of 100, you always want to do a prototype,
mm,
especially if you are going to be doing mass production for a lot of units, because you don't want a case where you just skip the prototype stage and then you just go ahead and make 1,000 units. There's something that me and my team, we fondly call amala. Amala means snag or mistakes. So let's say you have a mistake. If you had prototyped, you would have seen that mistake in the prototype one time. But then if you just went ahead to mass production, now you have 1,000 mistakes that everybody needs to correct. Correcting 1,000 mistakes is a very, very big headache, which is why you cannot, for 99.9 out of 100 cases, skip the prototype stage. Then production, that one is pretty easy. Just make sure that you replicate everything that you have already closed out from the prototype stage 1,000 times. And then when I do quality check and delivery, where we check every single unit to make sure that everything meets the client's requirements. So now this is what all the line items or tasks that goes into delivering a successful project. Now let's go on to the next item. I just want to confirm from the room that everybody's hearing me clearly. She can hear me, right?
yes, I can. I'm actually checking the
All
chat
right.
box to see too if we have anybody
Okay.
here.
Okay.
But yeah, I can hear you.
So,
If you can hear us at any point in time, please
all
just
right.
let us know so we can. Yeah.
No problem. So let's go on. Okay, so before you even engage any manufacturer to, you need to first gauge yourself. Am I ready for this? Can you answer these questions for yourself? And it is very, very important that you're able to answer these questions to yourself, because then you go and meet any manufacturing partner. It just makes the entire process downstream flow smoothly. First of all, define the product constraint for yourself. Like, what do you want to create or not? What are we Why are we bothering to go and meet a manufacturing partner for souvenirs? Yeah. Who is it for? Who are we gifting? What experience this particular thing is supposed to create? Are they supposed to feel like they are in a are they supposed to feel like this was gifted to them by somebody from an utopia? Are they supposed to feel like this was gifted to them by their best vendor, etc., etc.? All of that is defined in that particular question where you ask yourself. And then the quantity, how many do you need? It might be that you have 20 HNIs that you want to gift, or in your staff lineup, you want to recognize three key people. In those cases, you usually just make trophies. That's a suggestion from Misha. And then do we expect additional quantities? You're able to close out that in that particular question. And then brand, what brand assets are required? Are logos, colors, and and guidelines ready? So this particular question now, for instance, is actually pretty important, and which is uh, one very good reason why you would want to engage a manufacturing partner like us for your souvenirs, because um, I'm thinking of a good example. You're a tech company, for instance. Your company makes a platform that you can use for crypto exchange, for instance, and you want to give souvenirs. You will get better value from making a custom souvenirs like the ones that we do, for instance, as opposed to giving mugs, because cryptos is supposed to be something that is future facing, and then
Yeah.
you now give somebody a mug. It's like, bro, what's this? But then you now give the person a wireless charger that looks like, I'm going to think of a very, very outlandish object. A wireless charger that looks like an elephant. It's like, this company really, they're really thinking about the future. I mean, it's a wireless charger that looks like an elephant. It's wacky, but still, it's something that you don't see every day. Now, I'm not saying you need to make a wireless charger that looks like an elephant. I'm just saying that when you engage a manufacturing partner like us, you are able to further integrate your brand into the product and make it such that this thing is memorable. They interact with the product and they keep on remembering this particular company that gave them like, I need to go and engage these people again. Sorry, I went to the tangents there. And next question you need to ask yourself is budget. What's the approved project range? How much are you willing to spend on this? The budget is also going to dictate how your final product is going to look like, because some features cost money, some can help you save money. So then timeline, when is the events program? When was the product be delivered? That also affects the delivery of a project. And then who is supposed to approve the design, the size of production? Let's move on to the next one. Right. So there are five planning mistakes, very common mistakes that you need to look out for when planning for your year-end event or planning for Q4 in general. First one, starting with the deadline instead of the objective, approving too many things too late, underestimating the production time, waiting until the last minute to confirm quantities, treating delivery as an afterthought. For the first mistake, I'm just going to leave you guys with something to think about. I don't want to go on a tangent and then start explaining that one. When the target becomes a measure, it ceases to become a good targets. I've already messed up, but that is something I wanted to use to explain this point. Number one, when you are dead eye focused on the deadline instead of the objective, I've seen in some cases that you become so tunnel vision on the deadline that you forget to even plan uh, for the other things which we discussed in the previous slide, budget range, and the other questions that you're supposed to ask yourself because you are this deadline, this deadline, this deadline. And then what ends up happening is even counterintuitive because
Yeah.
you think you are thinking about the deadline until the deadline is so close and you're like, hey, what the hell was I doing? But enough of that. So now approving too many things too late. Um, I've said something related to that earlier, where if you are already very, very close to your project delivery date, and then somebody in your team or our team now suggests changes, then you approve it. You need to be able to manage changes very, very closely, especially when it's close to your deadline, because you might think that you are just changing one tiny specific detail, but when you don't apply a lot of thoughts to this change you're about to make, you find out that that tiny thing that you've changed it's already caused like a domino effect that one affects um,
Several other
other
things.
things that are supposed to be inside this product. And then now you now have a disaster in your hands, right? So it's very, very important that change requests or what's it called, change orders that come, especially when you are very, very close to that deadline, is something that you need to manage closely. And then another thing is underestimating production time, which we already discussed when you asked me that first question about why you think people used to um, fail with their plan for Q4, right? So let me see if I can get any product here. Give me a moment.
Okay.
Right. So this is a prototype for something that I wanted to make for Wema Bank, right? I hope everybody can see it. This we made 25 minutes of this, right? Uh to some, it might look simple, like what's this? But it actually took me and the engineering team we spent that time were a little thing. It took us around 2 weeks, if no more. I'm going to um ignore all of the aspects that went into making this particular product. It took us around 2 weeks to make this. And this is just one aspect of the product. It still had an hourglass on top of it.
Hmm.
Right. So if somebody looks at it, they're like, I mean, so this shouldn't take them 3 days to make it. That's far from the case, right? You should be able to correctly estimate or guesstimate based on all the information that I've already given to you that this particular thing that I'm asking for might take quite a while. Our standard delivery time for most projects is 2 weeks. So give or take, you should be able to plan with that and then understand that you cannot um expect magic to happen when you order for something and then it's just going to materialize. No, that's not how things work, and that's a mistake that I need to avoid. And then question 4 and 5. I say question 4 and 5. Mistake 4 and 5, basically the same ideology. I don't want to take too much of our time, so let's go on to the next slide. Right. So um is this what we call a shameless plug? I don't know what it was that doing the webinar. Right. So what happens when you plan with the right partner? Our team, for instance, we understand the process, we conceptualize before we even decide I want to go into production. We first prototype, refine the prototype, mass produce, do quality checks, and then deliver. This pipeline, this production pipeline I'm saying is what you get when you manufacture a right partner. Now, there are some people that you might go and meet that most likely will skip the understanding phase, the conceptualization phase, prototyping phase, and then everything, point one, two, three, four, and then just skip straight to produce, then skip quality check, and then just deliver. All of that causes a whole lot of issues for you. And even for things like those regular souvenirs that we're talking about, even for the mugs, uh, or the pens or notebooks or whatnot, find out that you have a notebook that is already peeling at the edge because this person didn't pay close attention to whatever they were doing, or ink that is blotching on some pages, very, very ugly things that you don't want to give to your guests or whatever. But in our own case too, like I said, we make sure that we go through all of this particular process. Our role isn't simply to manufacture what you've already decided, it's to help you think through. So even if you've already come up with a design in your own end that might have some issues coming to real life, we always think of a way to make that particular idea of yours reality. Like I said, I'm a mechanical engineer. What I do, what me and my team do is to help people bring their ideas to life.
Mm.
So let's move on to the next slide. Okay. So this one is still like a sequel to the slides that we had earlier, where we're talking about questions that you need to ask yourself. So now, before you leave this question, you need to ask, I say question, sorry, before you leave this session, you need to ask yourself these questions. What are we creating? Why? Who are we making it for? How many are we making? How much are we investing into this particular project? When must it be delivered and who is approving this design? If you can't answer all seven, you're probably not ready to enter production. And if you can't answer all seven, that also is the problem. Because if you remember what we just discussed in the last slide, as a manufacturing partner, we're always ready and willing to help you think through, so even all of these questions, if you don't have the answers to all of these questions, our team is more. that I'm willing to help you discuss through all of these questions and make sure that everything is set in place before you even enter the production floor. So now let's move on to the next slide. This one is a bit of a wake-up call. You don't have to wait until Q4 to start thinking about Q4. Me, for instance, since January, I've already started thinking about the parties that I want to go and attend from January. How much more a company or even you that you want to be able to make your staff feel valued, or you want to make your HNIs feel valued as well. So you don't have to wait until Q4 before you start thinking about it. And then that brings me to the end of my session. If you have
Yeah.
any questions, we can talk about your Q4 plans.
Thank you so much, Samuel. You've done more than enough for us. I like the way you were able to actually use a real product to conceptualize what exactly it is that you were trying to talk about. Because I feel like most of the time we tend to overthink these things in the theoretical terms, and then we don't have a practical perspective to it. So you having to show us that product actually give more sense to what exactly it is that you're saying. And I believe that many of us here already have answers. There's something you said earlier about the fact that you already have an idea of what exactly it is you want to do with your December, your whole and best, your daily December plans. For those of us that don't have that December plans, God be with us. But I'd just like to close out by saying that you actually need to know what it is that you want to do for your brand. And I always say you don't need to have all the answers. The essence of this conversation is to help you see that there is a process to go through. And whatever it is that that process looks like, or whatever phase of that process that you're currently on, we are here to help you actually walk through all of them with an outcome in mind that is going to be very profitable for you and for every other person that it is that you want to gift or you want to honor, you want to show appreciation to. And if you don't even have ideas, we have ideas to give you. Plenty ideas. I was talking to somebody recently and I was like, I really wish companies would do some things for their staff, especially the best staff of the year, as a way to just show them that they really care about the impact they are making in the companies. And guess what? The person's like, oh, amazing. We don't do things like that. We just do our normal 13th month or whatever. And I'm like, 13th month is great, but you could add something monumental to it as well. And that person's like, okay, sure, why not? I'll talk to this person about it and we'll see. So that's to see that people don't even think of these things that we often think about many of the times, right? And one of the ways that you can actually get better benefits when you do this is with us is that you get better planning insights, product and experience inspiration, like I already said, early access to opportunity. This kind of conversation can happen if you're ordering in bulk, if you're doing a lot of things with us. And you also get access to exclusive opportunities that we do just for partners that are involved with us alone. And you also get access to planning resources. Like you could just say, this year I want to do all of these things. I don't want to figure it out by myself alone. This is my calendar. Take this calendar and tell me what you think we can do for our HNIs, our employees, our distributors, whatever category it is that these people that you want to help, honor, or appreciate belong to. We are more than enough to help you honor them, right? So thank you once again for joining us today. Before we go out and before Samuel go off, I would like to ask if you have any question. I want to assume that you've learned a lot from all the things that he has said. And guess what? All of the things that he has said are very practical. You can apply it to every phase of your event or your project, your procurement cycle rather, anything it is. So before he goes, I would like to ask if you have any questions so you can answer them and do better justice to all of them. So you can go ahead and drop them in the chat. I'll be going through the chat myself right now to see if there's any question here. So we can take all of them at once. And thank you so much to everybody that dropped your name. Thank you so much to Chuku. Thank you, Timilei. Thank you, Timothy. It's so nice to have you all here. So do we have questions? I know that Samuel did good justice to the conversation, but I want to still believe that there are still some things that I probably did not touch on as much as you'd want to. So maybe you want to ask questions on that before we call it a day. Okay, we just have 1 more minute left for that. And if you don't have any question in between that 1 minute, we'll call it a day. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. I'm trying to go through the names so I can say a big thank you to all of us. Thank you, Malik, Chukibed. I hope I pronounced that right. Yeah. Thank you, Oluwadamilola. Thank you, Oluwatimilane. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Ramat, Richard, Samuel. Absolutely, Samuel is we have Samuel, Oluwapelumi, Temitope Opaleye, Teniola. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And yeah, once again, thank you, Samuel, for taking the time to walk us through everything that it is that a better planning cycle should look like and what exactly it is that people should pay attention to. On that note, I'd like to bring this section to a close. Again, you can connect with us across our socials or, just scan the QR code on your screen, or you could see our website, yeah, createyourmetaphor.com. We would love to actually help you walk through your planning cycle, help you make the best of Q4, help you deliver exceptional, memorable experiences that will actually create a strong touch point with your brand and connect you with your audiences, your already intending partners, or whatever it is that you may not have. So thank you once again. Sam, do you want to say anything before it is that we close out?
Um, just bye to everybody and thank you for joining our webinar.
Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we look forward to seeing you next month as well. This is a monthly thing, so please do also stay tuned, and we would be honored to have you here next month.